Hello, everyone. Welcome to Weekly Manga Recap. It's January the 27th of 2026. Sorry, I just realized that the entire month is already gone.
Yo, no lie. Like, I was like, 2025, a lot of people were like, this year's moving fast or something like that. I was like, oh, it's not that bad. The passage of time, et cetera, et cetera. January 2026 is shot by. I legit feel like I blinked and it's now like the 28th. And I'm like, I don't know how to respond to this. I don't really know what to do with myself.
I mean, admittedly, I guess a lot of stuff did happen. My brother visited from out of state. My friend visited from out of the country and stuff. Like, I have had stuff happening that's kind of made the time kind of fly by because I've had to get ready for it and focus on that as opposed to kind of just moseying through the time. But it just feels like the entire month vanished into dust. But that does bring us to today, which is Tuesday, which is the current manga day of the week. And we don't have a lot of manga to talk about today. This is really weird.
Luffy doesn't work Tuesdays, it turns out. He's not interested in that.
In addition to there being no One Piece, which we've gotten used to, having One Piece breaks very frequently, there's no Chainsaw Man, and there's no Dandadan.
No irregulars. So we are...
And Oter wrapped up last week.
Yep.
So... we're on a pretty light schedule.
Now,
if there were a new series to cover, we would have nothing to talk about.
There is a new series, so we are in a Marriagetoxin chapter, so there is a little bit.
That's true.
But this is definitely a smaller week than usual, so maybe we'll get even extra in our deep dives into some of these series. Or we'll speed run through it so we can both, we can watch an episode of The Sopranos before we go to bed or something like that. I don't know.
So have you seen that show? Is that show actually good, or do people just think it's good?
So
because I know that it's people hold it up as a really big one.
So I'm going to preface this by saying I have not fully really watched The Sopranos. I could only endure watching so much of the shows my brother told me to watch before I just adamantly rebelled and just refused. So I got through The Wire and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing, incredible. And then he was like, do you want to watch anything else? I was like, no, thank you. I can't do this again, really. But from what I understand, you've
used up your one recommendation and that's it.
No, I would probably actually check out Sopranos now at this point. I just haven't. When do you find the time to watch a 6 season show or whatever that famously ends very badly? But I have heard The Sopranos is very, very good. However, it is very, very good, not for the reasons most people would lead you to think it's good. I think a lot of people watch it because they're like, oh, it's like a mobster show. It's all about this cool guy who's doing crime in the mob. And I think the vibe is more like, yeah, look at this guy's life kind of fall apart around him. He's a complete
because he
wreck.
Thinks he's a cool mob guy.
Yeah, and how he's deeply insecure, and it's really just about his anxiety and how it's destroying him and all these sorts of things. So I think that show I'd be more interested in. And HBO just makes good stuff in general, so usually it's a stamp of quality. Don't check out Luck though, or oh God, what was the one about the porn star? They have a lot of bad ones too, I guess. So it's not a clean slate, but their good stuff is usually pretty good.
Gotcha. Yeah, you went far outside the realm of my fixations, and I was like, I don't know, don't ask me these questions, Quinn. I don't know the answers.
There was a point in time where I watched almost every, at least the first episode of almost every new HBO show, and see mostly good things, but I did see a lot of garbage in my time.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, we have some manga to talk about. There is a new series that we're going to be talking about. It'll be week 1 of 3 straight weeks of new series, as Oter the Flame wrapped up last week, Hatsukaze Mound wrapped up this week, and I believe, I have not kept up on the actual news surrounding this, I think that The Elusive Samurai is also wrapping up. Like, I would be surprised if it's not that one. That
I haven't heard
ends this
anything
week.
one way or the other. I thought some people were
Just
saying it
just
might.
from keeping up with the series, it's probably ending really
Okay.
soon. So
Fair enough. Well, yeah, we'll see what these new series do, and if that's the case, if this extra couple weeks is enough for any series to potentially maybe survive a little bit longer.
yep. Well, I don't know. I know that there were some people who were looking at the series that are dropping on, thinking, "Well, this kind of removes a lot of the buffers that some of the struggling new series may have been counting on." But you never know what's gonna kind of get a chance to keep going when it comes to these kind of cuts.
Yeah.
But we're not talking about any of those this week. We're going to talk about Ichi the Witch, 67th hunt, that 1 second. As things are looking pretty good for our heroes, as thanks to Chrono doing a freeze from all the way over there, Gakuro was able to punch to death a couple of the tails that the Octobomb magic Kizashi had unleashed. And now he's got everyone else kind of gathered up. Kizashi and his remaining 3 tails, or all of whom seem to have taken some hits. Like they're all down. It looks like 7 lives from him holding them off too. And Kizashi is like, "You're so incredible. You've always been so incredible, Chrono. You paused my little brothers, even though they're over 100 miles away, and you kept us tied up here too. That's awesome. I've never seen you do anything like that, even the time we've been playing together. You're really the most powerful ever." And Chrono gets a little bit nostalgic. He's like, "Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, we've spent a lot of time like fighting each other and stuff. I've killed you 575 times. You really should know that I'm more powerful than you. And I'm not going to let you harm my family. So learn that lesson already, Octobomb." And Kizashi insists, "My name's Kizashi now. And you're my bestest bud. You're killing me like you always did. But this time, you're hurt. You're even bleeding. Why? Is it because it's all because you protected dumb humans. You're super powerful and stuff, and you got hurt. You're the one who needs a lesson. Humans make you weak." And all of a sudden, Chrono's hand starts to tremble. And all the way 100 miles away, Minerva starts to go into labor. Uh-oh.
No, it's fine. This is a very ideal situation for giving birth. The environment is not sterile. There's no medical professional on staff.
It's raining.
It's, I believe, currently just hovering over the ocean right now. I don't think there's actually any dry land beneath them. This is actually what some would call the unicorn day for giving birth.
Yeah, and Ichi's right over there. He's unconscious. Look.
Yeah, if Ichi's there for the birth of your first child, can it really be called a bad situation? I don't think so.
And as far as we know, Descaris, 100 miles away, is being eaten by zombies. Also ideal. So, Kamugi realized, like, she is going into labor. We need to do something. And Jigashirane is like, "I mean, right now? Really? What do we do?" And both she and Gokuraku start to just panic. Like, they're both like, what do we do? And so Kamugi just jumps into action, and she starts to use some healing magic, Healite. And she says, "Look, I used to study medical magic. I can at least help to alleviate her pain, but we've got to deal with all the wind and rain surrounding us." So that finally manages to get like them to like, okay, we've got to take action. So Jigashirane says, "I've got some protection spells I can use." Gokuraku asks what he can do, and he is instructed, "Freaking drive. We got to get to the coast so she can have a safer place to give birth."
Pedal to the metal, fuckface. Hurry up. What are we doing?
And just as it looks like they're, like, okay, we're doing this. We're going to go. We're going to make a plan. Pooh. Oh, right. There was another tail. Oh, it's just a little thing. It's just going poo.
It's just a little pew.
Jiki Shirane freaks out and says, "You gotta crush that thing." He's just a little guy. He's just saying poo, and then his head splits open and a giant spider comes out.
He's like, "It's my birthday. I'm just a little guy. You wouldn't stop me from killing this baby, would you?"
It looks bizarrely fluffy. I
It's very interesting because I still like I've lost the plot of what Kizashi's abilities are. Like he was like,
yes.
I possess the ability to split myself into multiple bodies. Also, one of those bodies has the ability to be 3 of me in one, and when it transforms, it's like a big spider monster thing. It's like, okay, I guess you could do that too. That's also part of the vague Octobomb keyword, I guess.
He's not an octopus. He's the Octo-Bomb magic. So I guess, arachnid, 8 legs. It's related. Sure.
It's adjacent. It is Octo, and presumably it can still explode, so it's a bomb.
And in some of the ways that it moves, it does seem still vaguely octopus-like. Its head looks still like an octopus head, for example. But we get a full introduction to Pooh, who, of course, previously was just abilities were just summarized as Pooh, which is that he's the littlest Kizashi brother. He's gentle and kind and loves his brothers more than anything, but he hides a special secret, which is when his brothers die, his grief drives him insane and the monster inside him goes berserk.
This is what happens when you fight like a boss in an MMO, but you don't read all of its abilities, and you're like, fuck, I completely missed this mechanic. Oh my god, we should have been killing Pew first. Guys, we had to wipe.
Yes.
Like, we should have killed Pew first.
He immediately swipes at Jika Shirane and Kamugi, seemingly knocks Kamugi out right away. Gokuraku has to rush to catch her before she falls into, the rushing waters. And yeah, it's a very strong boy because it just punches Gokuraku in the back a whole bunch of times, and they're not doing so hot. And Jika Shirane realizes that things are going bad immediately. She's like kind of the only one left who can do anything. But she struggles to try and reach to help out Minerva as Pooh the spider octopus thing lunges out and stabs her through the back. Oh dear. What a horrifying image. She rolls over to protect the baby, but she's stabbed. Like there's blood gushing out of her. No good. She calls out to her husband, and then we fade into a flashback to the day that Chrono and Minerva met, when she turned up as looks like just a kid in Chrono's ship. It looks like she's in like a baby bed or a treasure chest. It's kind of hard to see the container that she's in.
Yeah, it looks like it has like a bonnet almost to it. So I'm guessing maybe just a child left at sea.
And Chrono looks at her and just goes, "What are you?" And in Minerva's narration, we hear her say, "In your eyes, I saw a world of loneliness." Okay. Good times.
Yeah, it's, it's hard to get super concerned when there's like an all-being time god nearby, because I'm like, we're not going to try to make it like a big reveal that he's going to rewind, right? That he has that ability. So I'm curious if they're doing that, or if this is all still the vision that Jika Shirane has seen, and it hasn't actually happened yet. Maybe Ichi wakes up or something along those lines. There is some kind of thing coming in here. But in the meantime, we're going to, I guess, get a little flashback to give a little bit of more context to these two characters, because the story is going to end in some way, probably a little tragic. And we should know a little bit more about these characters so we can feel, emotional when that conclusion kind of happens.
Speaking of emotional, I didn't even realize this until just now because of the black and white. I didn't realize that Pooh, as the octopus spider thing, is constantly crying.
Aw. He's real
Because
sad
he's
about
upset
all his
over
brothers
being dead. Yeah.
Yeah, you hit the enrage timer, so now it's just triggered. It's bad. You gotta wipe. It's start over. It's a good fun chapter though. That page of Minerva being stabbed in the back is
so fun.
Very visceral. It's very, very haunting. All right, Nick.
Blue Box.
We're gonna talk about Blue Box. Blue Box.
Blue Box.
Chapter 227. Change. So we open the chapter. Our heroes have obtained cake, Nick. They finished their intense badminton match, and then they decided to go get cake together as a trio.
Should we do that improv game? Like every time one of us says change, that the other has to immediately change what they just said.
I mean, it's an interesting move to do when I already told you my memory of this chapter is a little sketchy. But sure, every time change comes up, I'll take it in a different direction. So, Hina is gorging herself on cake at this point. She's very excited. To the point where even Taiki is like, "Oh my goodness, don't you know? You're not taking pictures today."
I wasn't expecting that interpretation, but okay.
Yeah, do something. And Hina even kind of notes. She's like, it's fine. Doesn't even matter. There is a slight joke of Kyo eating some of Taiki's cake, and he's like, "Well, you just eating other people's cake too?" And he's like, "Well, it's not like I'm on the team anymore. What do I need to keep into great shape for anymore?" Taiki doesn't like that joke, but they start reminiscing there, Nick, about them being over there on the bench and it being a nostalgic time. However, old Kyo over there says, "I don't feel quite so nostalgic about this, but Hina knows." Woo! Hina knows why, Nicholas. She says there's children over there weren't playing dodgeball before. Those kids are very upset because there's supposed to be more of them. They're like, when are the others going to come? It's no fun just with the three of us. And there's a shot of all three of the teenagers looking on. And Hina just stands up and immediately is like, "Let's join in." She just invites herself into these little kids playing their game.
This is so weird to do. Like...
It could work, and in this scenario, it makes sense. It's also a shame, too, because they, again, imagine Hina as a dump truck when I'm like, I don't know if I'd use that terminology specifically, but fair enough, I guess. I'm sure she's loves being compared to a dump truck, as though there's no other vehicle that's large and has a lot of momentum.
Is this like a cultural thing? Are dump trucks in Japan known for being like highly intrusive and headstrong? Like,
yeah, I don't know. So Hina has fully invited all three of them into this game. They are just playing dodgeball at this point. She aims at their feet, and so the little kid's like, "Wow, she's good." And then Taiki's like, "No, I think she just sucks at throwing."
So fucking mean.
Fucking little Kyo has found a small version of himself, like someone with the same fucking haircut and glasses.
The one kid.
Like this, he like latched on. He's like, you're gonna be me in 5 years anyway. Let's team up, basically.
You got the ball cut, you got the glasses. Let's go, kid.
How do you feel about sweater vests? You're gonna love them. He basically just tells him, he's like, "Hey, Taiki's gonna be a really easy target. Just aim at him." And he's completely right. Taiki immediately tries to, I think, block the shot that was aiming for the kid, and he just
noble lad.
Yeah, just very silly. And Hina starts showing off. She starts doing all of her gymnastics poses and everything like that. When the balls comes by her and she dodges it, but she starts to slip, and Taiki grabs her, catches her underneath so she doesn't fall. And then he kind of
somehow doesn't grab her by the boobs to catch her.
Yeah,
like,
it's
Gakuro
weird.
Needs to take notes.
It's weird. Gakuro will have a moment of trying to grab something later on where like the worst thing happens. You're like, oh right, in anime and manga, people could just catch a woman without actually assaulting her in some way.
And in this case, Hina's upper body was the closest thing to Taiki, and somehow he managed to avoid that happening.
It's the astonishing things. Taiki is legit mad. He's like, "What if you had hurt yourself? You're in the middle of competition. What if you affected your performance? All of you want you to do your best." Like, she's really, really excited.
Change.
He's really excited. But then it creates this awkward tension the rest of the moment there. Everyone's just like, we don't even know you, y'all, and you just showed up and then you started yelling. What are you doing? You're fucking with our vibe. We were just playing dodgeball, and now you brought some kind of awkwardness to us. We're not a fan of it. And the other kids show up.
Are just like, we were just like playing dodgeball, and then these random teenagers came over and started having a soap opera on our dodgeball court.
We were having a normal game. We were like, oh, there's only 3 of us, but like we're children with a ball. We can find something to occupy ourselves with until they come. And then these weird ass old people showed up, invited themselves into the game, and then started.
These guys have got to be like,
other.
I don't know, 27 years old or something like that.
They were like, I don't know, like 40, 50-year-old people. I don't know. They looked ancient. One of them almost looked like he was growing facial hair. Kyo takes this opportunity to be like, I think I'm going to go buy some cake for my siblings and get out of here, basically. So he books it at this point. And Hina's like, oh, it kind of makes things awkward between us. And starts to bring up what just happened. Like, it's just the kind of person you are. You're kind without even trying. When I ran into that guy and tweaked my ankle, you were so worried that I've been hurt. You helped me all the way to the nurse's office. And he's like, that's what you told me I should think about myself first. And she's like, there's been so many more times you've cared more about me than I did, even though it's just as a friend. And she's thinking to herself, like, you have no idea, basically. So
I think that's actually Taiki thinking that.
That might be.
Because he reflects on the bikes and how, they were thinking about that during the badminton match.
Yeah. I believe you're right on that. And he notes, like, I feel like there have been tons of times where you cared about me more than I did. He's thinking about all these sort of scenes they've had together that we've seen throughout the manga. And they start being like, you remember how we were talking earlier about how his place doesn't feel nostalgic? And Taiki explains how when he was in junior high, he went to his old preschool as part of career day. And when he saw the playground, he was like, wow, this really is nostalgic. But then he went to the bathroom and the toilets were so tiny and nothing about that felt nostalgic, even though it should have been the same experience. So maybe we've changed so much that nothing feels familiar enough to miss at this point. It's because we've changed.
I remember when I was in 5th grade. There was this thing in the area called Enterprise Village, and then in 8th grade went to the same area, but it was a different focus. It was called Finance Park. Both of them were basically like, oh, it's this place that you bring the students to and they learn, like what it's like to work for a day, essentially. Kind of gets them used to the idea of having to like go to a job and like have to cut checks and stuff. And everyone like plays at being adults kind of for a day. And then I actually applied to a job to work there. I didn't get it a few years after college. And they're like, after I did the interview, they're like, oh, would you like to go in and take a look inside? Because it was like, there was nobody there. They were closed for that day. And so I walked around a little bit and I was like, all of the things here are so much smaller and closer together than I remember. Like it was astonishing to me how small the whole compound actually was. And that definitely makes me feel how Taiki feels here with the toilets.
Yeah, absolutely. He notes it's because we changed. And he says, Hina, you ended up liking me. And you told me just as much. But Shinatsu was already my special someone. And Hina starts thinking, we can't go back to those days of us riding on the bikes. Like, that's why it's not nostalgic.
Yeah.
We're different people now. And if I hadn't fallen in love with him, then we could have stayed friends just like before, Like, she's going through all these things, and she starts kind of going through a thought, but it's interrupted because Taiki says, I want to work up to being best friends again with you, Hina. And she thinks this change and everything I felt is what makes me me. And Taiki finishes by saying, you're the one who taught me that I should properly tell the other person how I feel. So we are addressing the elephant in the room, the butterfly in the room, so to speak. We're getting to it, and Taiki, once again, showing a wisdom and emotional maturity that no 17-year-old should possess. It's almost
he's got a sweater vest and a tie on. He's got this.
It's honestly it's a little frightening at times where I'm like, you're handling this better than I think I would at my age. Like, how are you? Like, come on, what's going on here?
It's a very sweet idea as well, the to acknowledge like, hey, like things are different between us, and because we've kind of been pretending it's not, we've kind of grown apart a little bit, and I don't want that to happen. Like he is actually saying something very, very sweet, which is, I value you a lot, and I want you to be my best friend again. Like,
Yeah.
to admit that that's not the case and want to go back to it is a very, very big thing to do.
It is. I'm curious to see how Hina kind of handles this. Because I think
Change.
Well, I really hope that Hina does something really wild. I hope the next chapter she's like, I take it, I'm going to be leaving this here school because there's gold in them there hills. And I'm going to go out and get all of that there gold. And I'm going to build myself a golden butterfly to fly around the world in.
Imagine like Blue Box having is like, oh yeah, it's great, like Taiki and Shinatsu, they're a couple, and like, yeah, Kyo and Ayame, they work things out. Hey Haruto, how are things with you and Hina? I mean, after she got over to Taiki, she just like moved to 1840s San Francisco and started to pan for gold for the rest of her life. So it didn't really work out.
She said something about Dem Dare Hills, and I never saw her again.
All right, and we are joined by Professor Peanuts.
Yeah, he's very excited. He doesn't normally get to hear Hambone Jackson show up, so he's real excited. Such a treat for the little professor. But that's Blue Box for this week.
All right. Hima-Ten, chapter number 75, Hima 75, Radiant How do I say this without sounding like the drug? Radiant Heroine.
Heroine. That's, you know what? It's easy. No one will ever mistake it for the drug.
No one will ever mistake it for the drug. Yeah, look.
No one will ever mistake it for the real title either, but...
Glowing drugs. Last time, Himari resolved to, ask Iamori to stop being her house cleaner because she knows that she can't keep on, like, loving him and trying to get to be with him and stuff if he is still in that position. Although she gave him the excuse that it was because her coworker found out about the whole thing and it would cause, like, legal troubles and stuff, which we learn for certain in this chapter. She just made that up. Which is, that's apparently not a problem, even though it sounds like it probably could be.
It very much could be, but then I feel like, does Iamori isn't he the one that brings up, he's like, oh, it'd be an issue if your coworker found out?
Yeah, because Iamori had previously said...
Did he just suss out that lie?
I don't know, like, because she said in the last chapter that it was when she was going over stuff with Tsubone that it came up that he can't work for her for, like, legal protection reasons and stuff, because, she's a young girl and he's a young guy and all that. I don't know. I feel like her excuse was pretty good, to the point that I was actually willing to buy it as the truth. So.
I was like, oh, that must have happened off screen. Good for her. We finally kind of got this problem solved. We're addressing a potential issue and things.
But Iamori says, I guess I will have to bring her back, but not yet. Because he's like, I don't really like that this is just kind of an overriding decision that you're making. I don't feel like this is like you to just decide stuff like this. Which I guess makes sense. They have had a professional and friendly relationship for like half a year or something at this point. So that's a fair assessment, I think. And Himari's a little bit surprised, like, oh, wait, you're not okay with this? And Himari's like, no, of course I'm not okay with it. And Himari acknowledges to herself, like, I understand that I'm, like, being selfish here. The fact that, like, I am doing this because I want to have a chance at having a romantic relationship with Iamori, even though I know that he's into another girl. But she brings up to him like, you would have had to quit anyway, though, because like if you start dating Honoka, then
You
you
can't
know
be cleaning my
you can't.
house. Like, you
Yeah,
can't be, like, alone with me in my house all the time.
which she says that she found out that stuff from Kana, which makes sense that Kana would have told her. Of course, Kana would have told her that. Uh, and she says, like, look, even though I shouldn't have made this decision without you, it's within my right to decide that our agreement's done. Like, I'm the client, I can do that. Like, I'm allowed to do this. And she says, look, no matter how important this relationship is to us, it is just a work agreement. So why can't we just end it now? And Iomori says, like, are you sure that you're okay with this? And she says she is. And so he's like, all right, fine. But technically speaking, you're supposed to give me a month's notice. Because yeah, like he's got clients and stuff, and he's got to have like his work schedule filled out. So it makes sense that like she can't just do that without cause for him. So Himari's like, okay, I mean, could I just not request cleaning for a month though? And Himari's like, yes, that is fine, but I am still technically speaking your cleaner until a month from now, and you can look for a replacement until that time comes. And if you request a cleaning this month, I will still come if you need it. Which feels like we're setting up a little hanging thread there. It does not sound as though we're going to have like, oh yeah, and a month passed and he just stopped being her cleaner.
Yes.
It seems like we're leaving the door open deliberately. So Iomori, like, they start talking about this as if it is like a breakup, which is very shonen protagonist of them.
Yeah,
But,
they start kind of having this thing that's almost like they both kind of know the situation, but neither are going to directly discuss it. So they're like kind of talking around the fact that they're like, I am going to tell Hanoka that I love her in a month, just as a heads up, in case anything should change within that month,
If in case you need to call me over to clean your lips with my lips or whatever,
Oh, that's good.
So he says that he's going to use the time to come to terms with the fact that I won't be your cleaner anymore. Guys, just get married. Like, what the fuck? Come on. But he vows that while they're still second years, he is going to tell Honoka that he likes her. He says, I've done so much for you as your house cleaner, and you've done a ton of stuff for me as a client, so all that will be over, but not until a month from now when I officially quit, and until then, I'm here for you. Which is an incredibly dramatic statement to make as a house cleaner to a client, but it's because these two are idiots. So Himari agrees to that arrangement, does not make Himari give back her key yet until the month has passed. And then we cut over to Terasaka, who is really happy because Himari has asked her to come hang out. And she's like, yeah, that was really sudden. And she's like, all right, here we go. Like, I hope that like I look okay and stuff. And Himari asks her in, and Terasaka's like, hey, what's going on? And there's a very weird exchange because Himari has changed into her school uniform. And Terasaka's like, why are you dressed that way? And she says, I think it'll give me the boost in courage I need.
Yeah, you never just put on your old school uniform to feel the self-confidence that you generally feel as a teenager.
Maybe it reminds her that she's a high school girl boss. I don't know.
Yeah, honestly, it might. Like, for her, this is the outfit she feels, I guess, most power in. This would be like if you had an important job interview coming up, and you were like, it says there's no rules for what you want to do. You're gonna put on a Skull t-shirt, Nick, right? You want to feel as most comfortable as you can feel. So this is hers.
Okay, this is true. When I went through my second round of college, I had a shirt that was just like this one that I wore to every exam that I took. It was my lucky shirt. And then I was really upset when the old version of this was really faded and falling apart. And my wonderful wife knew I was upset about it, and she found me the same one online and got it for me. Like, so I do get that. It's just that I find it weird that we, in a very short breath, say like, "Oh, I think that the uniform will give me the courage I need," and it's like, okay, no explanation was there. That's all. Like,
It's everything she needs to say. It's gonna give her the boost she needs.
off screen, Terasaka just gets the lowdown on everything that happened about the Quinn situation, what he's planning to do with Honoka and everything like that. And Terasaka's like, what, how did all this happen? And Himari realized, like, oh yeah, it's only been 10 days since Christmas when they had that not date Christmas date. So Terasaka brings up like, hey, why are you cutting things off with him? Like, he's not going to come over every week anymore. And Himari says, I realized it would not help if he's coming over for work and we wouldn't get anywhere. And also, being his client is so not cute. And she goes on, and like everything she says makes perfect sense. It's just also funny because she's saying it this way, as she says, he respects me and he's grateful and whatever, but he never think I'm cute while I'm still paying him.
Yeah. He's like, he comes in and does work. I praise him and then I pay him. I will never look cute to him as long as that is our like relationship.
It's like, she's got a fucking point.
Yeah.
Yes. It's just... But, you know, Terasaka's like, I mean, is that really more important, though? And Himari's like, yes, it's very important. How do students fall in love? Nobody cares about money or status in middle school or high school. This is when love is pure, and people fall for whomever they think is the cutest person in the world. Says the girl who's never had a boyfriend before, but, you know.
And also, is the girl with a ton of status and money that everybody wants.
Nobody cares about any of that stuff.
She's like, no, this love is pure and cute. We only like each other because we're both adorable. It has nothing to do that I'm the CEO of my own company, and he's very impressed by that.
However, the other half of this that she says actually is very sweet, because she says, look, I've seen a lot of hot guys and great guys because of my work. But the guy who looked after my house, pulled out all the stops, who worried about my allergies, cleaned every speck of dust from my home, who was always thinking about my health, who made me good food, my tall, kind house cleaner, is the coolest guy in the world to me, and that's why I like him.
Interesting you threw in tall there, Himari. That didn't feel like a very platonic adjective to throw in there.
She's talking about the guy she loves, so yeah.
I know, yeah.
I mean, like, look, this was actually, like, we've had a lot of, like, okay, come on, get to the point moments in Hima-Ten recently. So this was a legitimate breath of fresh air to just have the moment of, like, this is why the girl fucking fell in love with this guy. And it's like, hey, this is the reason you've been reading this manga, is because she reiterates, like, this is why she fell in love with him. You, the reader, saw it happening. So... that's good. She says that after they've had a month together, when he's basically going to dump me for her, I want to get through it without letting it bring me down. And that will prove I'm a high school girl boss for real. We need to get away from this terminology.
Okie dokie.
Terasaka gets kind of emotional over this. And she's like, you've got this, Himari. And Himari says that she's going to need her help with this. And Terasaka vows to help with stuff. We cut over to Yamori, who is still really, really bummed out that this girl, that he's not going to be her house cleaner anymore in a month. And he says, look, it doesn't matter what the reasoning even is behind it. If she wants to end it, I should be okay with it. So it's even if she's not a client anymore, we're still friends. He says while frowning and sad. It's almost like you like having an exclusive relationship that only the two of you have. What could that mean?
It's, again, a very platonic thing.
Even if it's not romantic, you guys got to understand how much you mean to each other. Come on. However, at that moment, as he's just staring at his phone, he gets a call from Himari, who has gathered courage by having Terasaka hold her hand like in both of her hands are wrapped around Himari's free hand while she's on the cell phone for this. And Himari says, "Hey, do you like need help finding something or whatever?" And she says, "No. Do you still have cleaning supplies? Your cleaning supplies at my place?" And he's like, "Yeah." Then she says, "Well, Sumire is coming over tomorrow, so want to come by to hang out too, at your place." And Himari's like, "At your place? Yeah. I thought I'd just invite you over as a friend, and you can get your stuff then." And Himari's like, "Okay." And so Himari's like, "I mean, like, we're not going to be alone together, just so you know." And Eeyore's like, "Yeah, okay, I'll be there." And that's it. So, a plan has been hatched. And the girls are in on it.
Yeah, it's nice to see them working together. I like that you can see that they're like holding hands as they make this phone call. It's very, very sweet. Yeah, we'll see where this goes. We're putting a little bit of an intrigue clock on this 1 month in universe, and then things have to change. So we'll see how things move along in that month.
Yes. So,
Gosh.
it feels really weird to jump from in the spaces that we have, but now it's time for Someone Hurts.
It is.
It feels like we jumped over a lot of
Well,
stuff.
Dick, do you want to talk about what this week's chapter of Odor and the Flame would have been if it hadn't been canceled?
I like to imagine that Loki, god of mischief and chaos, revealed that the entire thing with the Winter King and stuff like that was all just a stupid play that he was putting on. And then he pulls out Oter's three-legged stool, and everyone goes crazy. He's like, "Oh my god, the stool! It was here! Yes, it was just a prop in the play that the god of mischief was putting on." Oh.
That'd be great if he doesn't pull out the stool, but he pulls out the leg, and he's like, "I saved this for you all along, Oda. You thought you used it as kindling, but I protected it for you." And he's like, "Oh, I threw that stool away. Like, once it lost the fourth leg, it was worthless to me at that point, so."
Then why did you only burn one leg? You can't burn two legs on a stool.
Yeah, try to explain that to me. Remember, I'm not a god. I don't have magic powers, okay?
You literally had magic powers. There was a spirit that was the literal embodiment of flame that came to you and gave you power after you breathed life into it, and she breathed hers into yours. Yes, you do have magic.
It's not ringing a bell. I don't recall a fire spirit.
You made a promise to her to remember her if you ever met in the future.
It's not ringing a bell. What'd she look like? Did she have like yellow hair or anything? Was she blonde, tall?
I mean, it's kind of hard to tell because like she changed like shape and size a whole lot, and she was fire, so her hair color kind of changed the way that fire changes colors. We get chapter title Odor on the.
Just so in the chapter title is just Odor shrugging. Like I don't know. All right, Someone Hurts, Nick. Samesies.
Chapter 18, Samesies. Yes, so Mizuo and Mime, the listener quotient is over. Mizuo came in second, and now they're going to just look ahead to the next listener response thingy. The new season will be coming. However, there's no one-liner corner in this week. I guess they're just like, because they just took a break because of the listener quotient thing.
It's sort of like how when we don't have Jump for a week, sometimes we do like a Q&A or something like that. Like once you finish the listener quotient, they're like, all right, bitches, like this week it's just an interview, okay? It's a lot of hard work reading out people's jokes on air.
So he and Mizuo are just like, in their separate apartments, like listening to the show while they're on the phone together. And Mizuo says, "Hey, Mime, I'm thirsty. Come get me." Like the big reveal that he had actually traveled over to support her. And then the next week she's like, "I'm thirsty. Come over here." They do some joking. Mime gets the idea like, maybe I'll submit it in some like reaction mail and stuff. And he's like trying to type it up, and as they're doing so, like the conversation moves on, and he's like really awkward, like, they already changed the topic. And so
it's such a weird system that they're like send in comments. It's not like a Twitch stream or like something like that. It's not something live that you could send something in. They're sending emails for what people are saying on the show, but it's still like modern day. So they just move on to the next topic, and anyone whose email gets sent in, they're like, I guess I won't even fucking read it. It's about an old topic. We're not going back to that. It's like a very bizarre concept for them to fill out a show with. Be like, we welcome responses only via email, though, still.
I mean, I've listened to radio shows that are like that, but usually they have like a form of structure to them. So it's like, they'll finish up a topic, go into an ad break, read the responses then, and then they move on to the next topic. It sounds like these guys are just talking about random things.
It would be like if we had our Twitch chat and then we removed it, and instead, as episodes were going on and we say something, people would just send emails into our email box. We'd be like, oh, hey, Nick, apparently that's not how you're supposed to say Kazashi or whatever. Or apparently he's the Octo-Boom, not the Octo-Bomb or something.
All right, that's great, but we're talking about Hima-Ten right now. Yes, so they talk a little bit about that. Mime brings up, like, is there like a trick to like how to like get reader response mail in? And Mizuho's like, well, you take some vinegar and stuff. I was like, no, that's clearly your reciting recipe. And she's like, I don't know, I don't really send in reaction mail, so I have no idea how to do that.
She's like, I don't know, that's some lame shit. I don't actually care.
And essentially what this really boils down to is that the Long Hopes just share a bunch of stuff that they're talking about, a lot of which sounds like stealth sponsorships. Especially because the next day Mime shows up to class. He's got the big curry bun that they were talking about. He's got the socks that they were talking about. He's got the notepad that they were talking about to write stuff down. And he's like, yeah, I got all this Long Hope stuff. And then during lunch, he looks over and sees that Mizuho has also got the curry bun. And he's like, oh no, if people see that we've got all the same stuff on, they're going to start talking about us. Oh no. So
I'm trying to even see what do you do to advertise a notebook? I'm really quite curious. I understand a meat bun or a curry bun. That makes perfect sense. I can understand how you would be like, man, I'm wearing these really comfy socks. Usually I don't talk about this, but like these are really, really comfy. I could get that. Yes. What the fuck are you going to be like? Yo, so I was writing down a note the other day and I was like, this company in particular, you know who's really good, Nick? Mead. No one talks about them enough, but MEAD, they are there for you when you need a notebook. They are the clutch stuff, Wait, is this how they actually get sponsorships?
It's also weird because it sounds like the listeners are the ones submitting some of them. Like there's someone who's like, yeah, I heard that all Mr. Kuyama eats for lunch are the big curry buns. And this one says, I heard that Mr. Osera uses the pink Surasura pads to write his material. So it's like, then they're just like getting random shit that random people made random quips about. I don't understand this.
I think it'll be very adorable because again, we exist in a world where we are reading someone Hertz, but the same thing is happening for our podcast. Of course, there is a high school couple that listens to weekly manga recap every week. They're not a couple yet. They're still feeling it out, but like the chemistry is there.
What an accomplishment that would be, Quinn.
The chemistry is there, and that's the important thing. I want people to just send in things that we can then be like, yeah, these are the iconic weekly manga recap things that like our someone Hertz clones have to go pick up. It's going to be like a long boy chicken sandwich from Burger King, like an Obey t-shirt, and we said Mead. So Mead, you got to get some Mead notebooks. They're the good ones. Or 5-star. 5-star is the one we're gonna go with.
Oh yeah. Which type is this? This is the one that I actually write my legitimate thoughts on. Caliber. This
Caliber.
Is a Caliber spiral notebook. There you go.
All right, there we go. So now they know what to do. If you see someone in your classroom tomorrow, to the 100% of listeners who are not in school anymore, and you see someone eating a long boy chicken sandwich, they're wearing an Obey t-shirt, and they're writing on either a 5-star or a Caliber notebook, know that they are also copying you.
Yeah,
and
this is how people will form bonds in the future. Yes. We just give them codes.
Yep.
So stuff goes on. They get into gym class, and Mime realizes that Mizuho has the same socks as him. And so he's like, oh no, if people notice, then that's going to be really bad. So he's like cupping his hands around his socks to hide it. Mizuho notices that he's nervous about it and just like, I'm going to like donut up my socks. That is like, all right, problem solved. Notebook thing happens. And then they run into each other, and Mizuho's got 2 notebooks, and Mime is like, oh, did she get one for me? And Mizuho, of course, is like, I was gonna give one to Nachi. Oh, okay. So she invites him to go to see Nachi after school, yep. So they get there. The cafe is like, it looks like it hasn't been used in weeks.
Yeah, there's like cobwebs.
everywhere.
It's like this place looks abandoned.
Like, so the idea is like she's so heavily affected by not getting, through the first round of the listener quotient, and so she's really depressed about it. But I like that she's in full uniform.
She still comes.
At the counter.
She still comes to work, puts on her uniform, and then just like sighs and lays her head on the ground and does no work.
Her being upset has caused her to close the shop while being fully prepared for it to be open.
She's like, I have to come to the shop so I can hang up these cobwebs and knock over my chairs. That's a busy day for me now.
So she's all depressed as they come in. She's got her head on the bar counter, and she's like, I was the funniest one on the radio back home. And all right, yeah, fine. Was I wrong for trying to get ahead of myself and go national? I'm pretty sure no, you weren't. At least let me meet Kurage. I think if someone, maybe a Kurage-like girl, would have put on this bear ear headband, and I would cheer up.
I think this is a weird character, but this is a very funny way where they're just like, if only someone, maybe like an adorable young girl, put on those headbands over there, I might feel better. And just looking at Mizuho being like, okay. Like, she doesn't sigh, but in my mind she's like, whatever.
Okay, here we go. And immediately she pops up. Hi, how are you guys doing? Yeah. And she's really happy that Mizuho has gotten her a gift. And she says, I want to thank you, but the cafe is closed for the week. Doesn't say why. But she says, like, oh, I'll buy you the ice cream that they also talked about on Monmid. You guys got to, like, I don't know.
They gotta chill. They gotta chill. They've got to have something else in their life that's not this fucking comedy show.
So they get some ice cream, and it's like the Japanese style ice cream where it's all like a bar kind of thing. And Mime's like, all right, so the next listener question's a full, half a year away, 6 months away. And Mizuho says, yeah, in 6 months, the healthy teeth I have now could be riddled with cavities. I mean, you're not wrong.
Yeah, you're eating a lot of ice cream right now. I guess it's something important to consider.
But as they're sitting on the bench, Mizuho just says all of a sudden, I want to have more things that match with you.
Come on.
Mime is stunned by that, and then when he turns to her like, what do you mean? She says the silver mid-round, her silver medal thing that she got. She's like, I'm going to get the gold mid-round, so I won't be matching with you, I guess. But so too bad, I'm going to be the super duper ultra strongest. But after a second, Mime's like, hey, you never know. We might not match because I'll get it. And Mizuho's a little bit surprised by that, but he's like, all right, yeah, just try it.
I like he's so annoyed. He's like, that's so annoying that you're so cocky about this.
She has every right to be when you think about it.
100%.
So Nachi had left them alone to like go do shopping. She comes back now, and they get into the bar, and Nachi gets the notebook from Mizuho that she said was for her, and she's like, why would I use a notebook? I'm not a student. And then she looks at me, May is like, what? So, cute stuff. Mm-hmm. And there's apparently a note that there is a report from listeners saying that they bought matching things. So, yeah, okay.
Okay, sure.
Yes, the long hopes are like, yeah, we have influence. Cool. All right.
Yeah, it's a fun chapter. Look, This series is going to run for a while. It needs, not every chapter is going to be a prompt or like a super important thing. This is a nice way to start, bouncing us back a little bit from the Koshin. I legitimately really like the moment where she's like, I want to have more things that match with you. It's a very like young, in love kind of thing where like, I just want more and more ways to connect to this person. And I love how she's like, aware of it too as she's going through the day. Like we see almost everything through Mume, but like seeing that she notices the socks and notices he's anxious, so she takes it upon herself to hide it. It's very sweet.
Yeah, this was not my favorite chapter of Someone Hurts, but though that last like 4 pages or so really is very, very cute. So hey, Mime and Mizo continue to be a very good leading pair. It's nice.
All right, Nick. Ultimate Exorcist Kiyoshi. This is chapter 77. The Demon Worm Special Forces number 2, Soten Toji, who is getting his ass kicked. Last time it looked like he had gotten the one up on Lord Gaga, but ooh rah rah, he's not done yet. And actually, he's a lot stronger now. And he's copied all the attacks. And he's basically gotten a lot stronger. Shooting notes like it. Actually, the strongest thing about Gaga is his fearsome ability to learn and grow when he forms from death's door. So immediately the fight continues again, and Shooten is on the back foot this time. He is getting absolutely demolished. He gets an arm blown off at one point, which basically is going to
put it on the list.
Yep. Which is going to prevent him from casting any spells, it seems like, too. And he's like, I was more afraid of dying to you than I was to Shishido. It'd be a real shame to kill you, Shooten. I want you to serve me instead. I mean, it's not like you're a
There's
human,
nothing suggestive
right?
about the panel there's nothing suggestive about this panel at all. Nothing.
And he's like, don't you get it? I'll rescue a half-breed like you. This is not a bad deal. And we get a little bit
Don't say breed. Don't say breed. Don't say breed.
We get a little bit of a flashback to show who Shooten was before he was a member of the Demon Special Forces, when he was just known as the Cambion Shooten, a half-breed with devil or demon blood, but an exorcist's blood as well. Ooh. And he notes that he was born of an exorcist mother and a demon father, and he exists in this space. His parents were killed basically in a very senseless way. He doesn't even really remember all the details that led to it anymore. He's like, I don't belong here in the demon realm. That's when Shishido shows up and is like, oh, hey, are you the demon who's been hunting other demons around here? You should join up with me. And he just off-screen beats him, and I guess they made a deal that if Shooten lost, he would do whatever Shishido says, and his requirement was, you join the Exorcist Special Forces with me. So now they're going to work together, and we see all the wacky, silly hijinks we're going in, and everything like that. But the entire time, Shooten is just thinking, I'm going to kill you one day. Like, one day I am going to be your death, basically. And he, even as he's kind of going around, he overhears a couple humans talking like, why did Mr. Shishido bring this guy in? Like, that guy's a demon. We shouldn't be working with him. And he's like, I don't belong here either. So he takes his first opportunity. He gets Shishido all alone, has a bunch of demons come out, and he's like, I'm siding with the demons. We're going to kill you right now. Shishido's like, is that how you really feel? And he's like, yeah, I'm a half demon after all. And then again, off screen, Shishido just whoops him and everyone else. And then he, Shooten's like, you're a monster. Just kill me. And Shishido picks him up, puts his arm over his shoulder. And he's like, all right, we're going back home to the Demon Realm Special Forces. I already told you, your life's in my hands now. And he sees, at this point, Shooten, now that he's been saved, is starting to kind of open up a little bit and find family in this weird division of people. He was given a home by Shishido to come back to. And in the present, to Gaga, Shooten notes, I'm not a demon or a human. I'm Toji Shooten of the Demon Realm Special Forces, and I'm not going to sell my soul to the likes of you. We get a great panel from Gaga who just goes,
Okay. So I didn't see any of that stuff that you were thinking about. Just so you know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I've got no context for the stupid declaration you just made. I'm gonna kill you now.
Yeah,
So,
I already knew your name, so I'm just gonna explode you now. He goes to fire off his big evil, but hey, Shootin, even with one arm, he's gonna activate this spell because this is everything that matters to him. He's not giving up without a fight. But boom, the big explosion goes off, and Shootin still falls down. Gaga says, "You were magnificent until the very end, but I win." And Shootin starts apologizing to everyone. He's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry to Sokka and Cook and to, Kiyoshi and Sosuke and to all the people in the Demon Special Forces."
And the rest.
Yeah, pretty much. All these characters who I was very emotionally tied with, but we get no names for in this chapter or I've never seen before. And most importantly, to Shishido, he's apologizing and saying thank you to him. He would have loved an opportunity to go to one more concert. But when the attack comes, it is blocked by Sosuke, who shows up, calls Fafnir out, big wall of water blocks the attack, and he says, "As promised, I've come here to rescue you. Your trump card is here." Following up Shootin's
so cool.
little line from a couple chapters ago where he referred to Sosuke as their trump card.
Yeah, thank God for Sosuke coming in at the end of this, because honestly, I did not care for this chapter. I thought that the execution of Shuten's flashback was not there. It just kind of comes across as very basic of like, you're my friend now. I was like, I don't want to be your friend. I'm going to go back and I'm going to try and betray you. I stopped you from betraying me. Now you're going to be my friend. I'll be your friend. Like, there's not really, because it's only half of one chapter, there's not really time for any sense of emotional connection happening between Shuten and anyone. It's very by the numbers.
Yeah, you have to hit the beats. Just like we have to show that he didn't feel safe in the other world. Okay, we got a panel with that. We have to show that he's betraying Shishido. We got that. Shishido has to pick him up now. Now we have a panel where we show that he's found happiness. And it's like, yeah, but it doesn't really tie together cohesively in any fun way. Like, I don't like shooting more now after this chapter or anything like that. But Sosuke, the best character in the manga, is here. It's a great chapter as far as I'm concerned.
All right. Now let's move on to our new series in Shonen Jump, Under Doctor.
Ooh, is this an Undertaker riff?
Yeah, I mean, like, we could do a whole bunch of them.
I was going to say, you could also do Underdog.
Oh, there's no need to fear.
Underdog Tor is here. Do the kids today?
Yes.
I know we talked about how teenagers would obviously be following along with our podcast. Do you think they get our underdog? Do you think they even get our Undertaker jokes? He hasn't wrestled in like 7 years.
I'm sure that if any of our listeners, no matter how old, are big wrestling fans, then they have to know who The Undertaker is.
That's true.
But anyhow, so. Yes, by Kyo Tanimoto, who apparently was used to be an assistant to Kohei Horikoshi on My Hero Academia, but has really only done like a few one-shots before. This is their first big proper series, which is about the doctor named Haiji, which is the name of our first chapter. Haiji, who is this very lazy, very Yu-Gi-Oh haired man who is on a plane currently. And there's a man who is very, very distressed because he's got awful stomach pains. And so he's assured by the staff that they're putting out the word like, oh, we're going to see if there's somebody on board who is a doctor of some kind. And there is a female flight attendant in particular who thinks to herself like, oh, I wonder if he'll come. And we get a flashback from her perspective to when she was waiting for the last person to arrive for this flight from Singapore to Tokyo, Japan to arrive. And the man comes rushing up. It's our main character, Haiji, who is rushing to try and get there. He trips and falls right in front of the desk, and he says, please let me on the flight, please. And she says, of course, yes, we've been waiting for you. And so gets him on the plane. As they're on the jetway to get onto the plane and they're walking along, he makes the observation like, yeah, I'm sorry. Like, I've been running around because like I haven't slept like at all since yesterday. Then he looks at her and he says, "Oh, Miss Flight Attendant, your headache, it's coming from your spine. So, try taking a long bath, try stretching from your neck down to your tailbone, and that should make things better." And she's like, "Oh, thanks." And then she thinks, "I didn't mention having headaches around this guy." And so now in the present, she's thinking, that guy was weird, but I hope he shows up because clearly, he's a very observant doctor. And then they're joined by a doctor, but not Heiji. It's an old, experienced doctor instead who looks very proper and very stern. And Heiji is just sleeping in his seat on the plane because he's so damn tired. Very weirdly, some random kid starts whining about Disneyland. This kid this kid has no bearing on the entire rest of the chapter. This kid's just crying about wanting to go to Disneyland.
It's like it's meant to give us like a sense of like empathy to be like, I hope they don't have to turn the plane around. But I was like, they're going to Japan. Aren't they going to Japan? What Disneyland are they going to?
Tokyo Disneyland.
Is there a Tokyo Disneyland?
Oh yeah.
Okay, I had no idea.
Very famous.
Okay, fair enough. I did not know.
Yeah. So Heiji overhears some people talking because of that about how there's someone who's sick, and so he's like, "Oh, what's going on there?" We do briefly see a guy getting a briefcase down from the luggage rack area as this is going on. We cut over to the other doctor who is attending to the sick man. And he observes like, okay, your eyes are out of focus. He asks like if he's eaten or anything. And we get an introduction as the flight attendants are talking amongst themselves like, oh, this is Dr. Ishiguro. He's from Mikage Medical University in Tokyo, very famous. So yeah, he was apparently in Singapore for some symposium. So he's very experienced and very well regarded. But he notes, all right, he has food poisoning, and I think that we should turn around and go back because it'll take less time to getting to Tokyo. And this could be really bad if we keep him in this position. If he's just like this for 6 hours, it's going to really weaken him and it could cause him a lot of distress. The man's upset because he's like, I want to see my daughter because I work overseas and I never get to see her. But they're like resolved to like, we got to turn around for his own physical safety. Like never getting to see your daughter, who also is like, let's go to Tokyo Disneyland.
Disneyland. Don't let anything interfere with Disneyland. I get this kid was super cool when the plane gets hijacked a little bit later.
Oh, yeah.
Excuse me, is this going to interfere with me getting to see Hercules and his Pegasus that has a name, I think, but I don't remember it?
Pegasus.
There you go. I'm going to miss Hercules and Pegasus.
The kids are like, all right, that's the first one we're going to kill. In fact, let's not wait 30 minutes for this, kids. Heiji, however, shows up at that moment and is like, oh, can I also take a look at the patient? Is that okay? And Dr. Ishiguro's like, I mean, that's fine. I have just finished examining him. I can give you all the information you need. But Heiji's just like, hey, can I ask you to take your shirt off? And so he examines the guy, and then he just kind of like pushes his fingers into the guy's solar plexus and says, oh, breathe in. And then he says, all right, so yeah, he seems to have ingested some sort of stimulant in the last couple of hours. And so I'm hitting acupoints specific to his condition. If we slow down the speed of the stimulant and alleviate some pain, that should help. And the man is like, that is helping. Yeah, the pain's going away. And Ishiguro is like, wow, that's crazy. Like, we don't get like, oh, Ishiguro is an idiot. He's like, he knew that this was a possibility. It's just that he didn't know what kind of food poisoning the man had. And so the fact that Heiji was able to identify it at look is what impresses him so much. Yeah, but Heiji says that he thinks that the man is now in good enough condition that they can still go to Tokyo because it won't be that bad for him. Ishiguro afterwards, after the man gets to go back to his seat, he bows deeply to Heiji and is like, I've been a doctor for 40 years, and that was incredibly impressive, and I want to have that kind of ability. How did you do that? How did you make that kind of accurate diagnosis? And Heiji says, I mean, I can tell you, but please keep it a secret. And he reveals that he can see the weak points in a person's body. They look like light to him, like glowing light. And so because he can see their weaknesses, he can also treat them with that knowledge. And he says that it took him like 6 years to even be able to guess what he was actually looking at from this ability, and another 6 years to be able to actually be as accurate as he is. So it's something that basically only he can do, and that he did have to do a lot of training for. But Ishiguro is not put off by this. He's incredibly grateful to Haiji for choosing to use that skill to become a doctor. He's like, I want to be able to cause as much good in the world as possible. So thank you for doing that. And we just get it impressed upon us. Oh, this Ishiguro guy, he's just a very nice guy. Like he looks kind of mean and stuff at first glance, but he's like, no, he's just like is a legit, like he has dedicated his life to saving other people's lives kind of person. And when Haiji hears about who he is, he's also impressed by his reputation and everything. So these two are getting along very well. Until a guy shows up. It's the guy with the beard from earlier who was getting the briefcase down from the luggage, and he's got a gun, and he just shoots Ishiguro. Uh-oh.
That kid in the back, like, great. We're never going to make it to Disneyland now.
Shortly afterwards, we get into a police HQ meeting, learn that, yes, some hijackers have taken over the plane. They are asking for 20 billion yen in ransom money, or they're going to crash the plane in Tokyo. And then we cut back onto the plane. Turns out that Haiji was able to rescue the doctor, who is, however, heavily wounded, got him into, like one of the luggage areas or something, like one of the bowels of the plane kind of places in the cargo hold. And he's like, yeah, after you were shot, I got you down there. And Ishiguro's like, didn't they shoot you? And he's like, my suit's bulletproof. Doesn't look very bulletproof. It looks like it's made of silk, but whatever.
I need one of those suits, though. And you need to as well, in case you need to give Ravi another bath.
Oh, yeah, that'd be nice. Yeah. Haiji explains how serious Ishiguro's bullet wounds are, because it's like, you've got 2 gunshot wounds, and you are going to bleed out if I don't remove them, so please let me operate on you. Ishiguro, however, analyzes the situation and realizes, like, if he's got to dig out 2 bullets, it's going to take him a long time to do that. And that will make it very difficult for him to get away himself. We could very easily be discovered while he is operating on me. So he says, like, look, just do what you can to escape on your own. That's common sense. Focus on the lives that you can save. That's how all doctors think. And Haiji says, but don't compare me to normal doctors. Look, you're not a doctor right now. You're my patient. I wasn't asking whether or not I should abandon you. I was asking if you want to live or die. And he brings up to him, like, look, if you died right now, would you have any regrets? And Ishiguro just thinks about all the different people, like in the hospitals that he has worked, who have counted on him in all sorts of different ways. And he's like, I got patients waiting for me, so I can't die yet. And yep, so he starts operating. We cut away, checking on the terrorists. The terrorists are really mean. Can you believe it? Can you believe it, Quinn?
It's
that
so
these guys
sad.
who hijacked the plane and shot a doctor are mean?
They're not good people. That kid's never going to make it to Disneyland now. What about that poor flight attendant? She was such a nice lady.
Name I don't think we ever remember.
She's a fly attendant. That's her name.
Flight attendant.
Yep.
Yes. She's praying for help from somebody, and Haiji at that moment appears to save the day. Hurrah! We check back in with Ishiguro, and it turns out that instead of 90 minutes, oh my gosh, Haiji finished the operation in 58 minutes. Just who are you?
It's very funny because I'm like, I presume that is a very fast time to do that kind of surgery. I have no context to it. You could have given any number, and I would have been like,
yes.
It was a point. It was a thing that was going to take 30 minutes. He did it in 3. It'd be like, it just is amazing. I have no idea.
So the terrorists start to fight Haiji as he shows up. One of them shoots his gun, and Haiji deflects the bullets with a scalpel, which doesn't seem like it should work even if you have the timing down. Then he does pressure point kung fu stuff to get them all collapse. He thinks to himself how much he hates this feeling, and we get a flashback to when he was a child, and his asshole assassin dad was like, use your ability to fight people. Stop trying to use it to save people. And even tried to get him to kill him instead, to get Haiji to kill his dad, apparently. And Haiji's like, I want to use this power to try and save people. And we see that even though he did use his super awful acupuncture attack ability, he didn't kill any of the people that he attacked. He just disabled them. He's like, I'm not going to kill anyone with this ability. all the people on the plane who witnessed this are like, oh my gosh, how did he do that? He's amazing. But Haiji just asked for a bit of help from the flight attendant. And so passengers with Haiji's help start to fight back. And the lead terrorist is like, what's going on? And he tells all the people who are in the cabin with him, like, look, it's just some idiot who's trying to play hero. We just got to shoot him. And then we pull back and reveal that Haiji has already beaten the two guys with him while he was giving that speech about how we just have to shoot this guy. So I don't know what he was looking at, because he was facing their direction when he said all that stuff. Like,
yeah.
So Haiji says, I'm not going to kill you, but I will teach you about the pain that people feel, because there are, in addition to regular pressure points, there are Kyusho vital points. And he basically does the Hyuga technique thing by just hitting all the pressure points at once. And then Haiji's like, okay, everything's fine. And then he's like, hey, can you keep flying at this altitude? And then he jumps out of the plane with the parachute, because it would be bad if people ask him questions about all the stuff that he just did. But Ishiguro catches up to him before he can make his getaway. And so he's like, what are you doing? And Haiji's like, I'm just going to disappear before I get asked questions by the cops or whatever. But Ishiguro asks, there's one last thing I must say. Will I be able to see you again? And Haiji says, definitely. So, yep, Haiji leaves, gets off, and as he floats down safely, he's on the phone with a mysterious benefactor of some kind who is checking in on him, and Haiji falls asleep while he's parachuting down.
Yep. I like this first chapter of Under Doctor. I don't think it's necessarily doing anything like bold and new, but I did find the lead to be amusingly weird, which is generally something I kind of like out of our protagonist. I like that he's like finishes up his thing and he's like, all right, time to jump out of this plane. Bye, everybody. Like just kind of books it or whatever. Yeah, and then falling asleep afterwards. I think I don't know how this is going to work extended. I don't know if his power, quote unquote, is interesting enough to do it. Like we saw a very, very cool scene of him hitting all the pressure points in this chapter. How much more beyond that can he really do? That's a pretty big question. And I'm still just not sure about the idea of like a doctor-based battle royale or like battle series, which is kind of the vibe I'm getting from this. I don't know how that's going to feel in the long term, but I did have fun with this chapter, and I am curious to see what they're going to try to do next week to like expand this universe.
I would say that I think that the art is pretty sharp. I think that we've got a fairly solid like design for our lead character. Like he definitely stands out with the two-toned Yu-Gi-Oh hair and the glasses. And there is like a strong like gimmick here in order to at least catch your attention. Like, you know, it's a very good, like, you know, 1 or 2 sentence tagline of like, there's a doctor, he fights people, but he fights people and he's a shonen hero guy. Like it's a very like straightforward, like you look at the cover and it's like, okay, I get a vibe of like what the series is going to be like. And it seems very, very strong in identifying itself that way.
Yes.
This is very much like a pilot chapter in terms of like, okay, here's our main character. In terms of like any actual interest I would have in this, it's going to depend on like, okay, what's the actual, like, what's he trying to do? What's his goal? What's he trying to accomplish? And that's going to depend on the next couple of chapters to establish that kind of thing. But this was an okay, like just kind of getting to know the series type of chapter.
Yep. We'll see how it goes from here. Marriagetoxin, Nick, chapter 154.
If you toxin so much, why don't you marriage it? I don't know. Chapter 154.
Toxin, will you make me the happiest woman in the world? And that's when Toxin, the I think Spider-Man villain, like one of the symbiotes, is like, I guess.
It was, yeah. I think he was the hero one. I want to say.
Was he the one played by Stephen Graham? For Boardwalk Empire, Nick. Surely you remember Stephen Graham. He played Al Capone.
Yeah, I I haven't watched any of the Venom movies, so.
Oh, that's a good choice. You made a good decision to not watch any of those.
Marriagetoxin, chapter 154. Nasu is walking through like the human museum that the poison users have, and he is with Garrow's like understudy cousin admirer guy, whatever his name is, I can't remember. But he makes note of the fact that he even had like Ushio in his sights while he was manipulating the drone user and stuff. But the one person that he didn't have under surveillance was Kirie Arashiyama, because the mice kept on getting into all the drones and stuff. And he basically is like, I was aware of like who was doing it.
Yeah.
But he's like, he denied me valuable information and he made a clean getaway right under my nose. So he's observing like, this guy's very talented, Kimihiko. And so, the poison user with him is like, I mean, he's just got espionage and escape though, isn't that's and Nas is like, you don't understand. That's just one of his abilities. The mouse user Kimihiko Arashiyama, his true brilliance lies in his overwhelming ability and practical skills. And we see that as he is staring down Ushio and Kimie, that Kimihiko has gathered all of his mice into Beast Gathering, the Behemouse, which is a giant mouse-looking shape that also is roided up as fuck.
This is a swole mouse.
Unnecessary amount of definition in the muscles.
It has so much mass. You can even see on the far right, it looks like mice are falling off of it. It's so jacked.
Yeah, oh no, we're too yoked.
The gains were too much.
He commands all the mice to swarm, rip, and devour, and they lunge in the shape of an open mouth towards the two women, who dodge out of the way. Ushio calls for Arashiyama to stay back. She tries to fire her water jet at it, and the mice just, part because it's a bunch of individual mice, and so the shape just falls apart and then comes back together into the destructive shape in order to attack them. And yeah, it's very, very dangerous, and they can't seem to fight back against it. So Kimie is like, okay then, a swarm against a swarm. And she's like, if I just fight and take out a few of the mice, then the monster should fall apart. Go, hammies! Hamtastic hammies! Oh, it interrupted the attack call. That's not good.
You're not allowed to do that. I'm supposed to always be able to get the attack name off.
Honestly, it takes all of the weight and gravity out of the situation when she goes, hammies! And like one of the hammies doesn't even look upset.
Yeah, one of them's just like, eh. I also love, because this is like, the kind of series it is, no hamster could ever get hurt. So like all of them are just like, ah, a noise by me.
Ushio thinks to herself like, okay, well, I've heard that some mice aren't good at swimming, so if I just flood the whole area, then that should help us. But unfortunately, one of the mice is broken off from the herd and attacks her tank. And so the water starts to leak out, and then she gets swarmed by a whole bunch more of them. Kimie tries to attack while she's begging her brother to stop all of this. And Kimihiko, meanwhile, is thinking about what she had said in the previous chapter, which is, why did you just vanish and leave me behind? And he narrates that mice are multiplying masses of bloodlust. Lineage revival. The mouse users once obtained immense power, consequently becoming embroiled in numerous conflicts that claimed the lives of most of their clan. In their desire to avoid further bloodshed, the surviving members chose to seal away their power. They instead chose to walk an unremarkable and unthreatening path as hamster users.
This is some
sure.
This is some dork shit. Why are they not rats? Why are they mice specifically? That's the part that's so confusing. I mean, it's like, I could understand if they're rats. Rats are like more aggressive. They're usually larger. Like, it would make more sense if that was the one that had the bloodlust. Mice are still generally, like, they're usually pretty docile. Like, they'll go for what they need for food, but they're not like ravenous monsters usually. Well, I guess there's some scenarios they can be.
Don't get my wife on here to talk about the differences between rats and mice. She will go on and on.
Yeah.
It's she when she was younger, she like had some little rodent guys that she looked after. So yes. But all of the mice users sealed their powers away as harmless hamster users, but Kimihiko, the mice were drawn to him. And if word got out that a mouse user had awakened, we draw the attention of the other specialists. I could deal with whatever happens to me, but what about Kimie? And it was then that Toniko appeared. And Toniko, with her giant-ass dog, not quite as big as it would grow to be, came and said, hey, if you swear fealty to me, I will guarantee the safety of your sister. And so Kimiko left. He vanished from Kimie's life with no warning. He has continued to protect her from afar, and there is like a very sad little scene where, like, you know, Kimie is like on the fucking street in a little tent, and he's just fucking murdering dudes in order to protect her, and he's got mice occasionally watching after her and stuff. And he thinks she would never have to see me covered in blood if I just protect her from afar. And that's what I kept on telling myself. And then, of course, Toshiro did get Kimie at one point, but Toniko stepped in, as promised, and protected her. And in the end, Gero resolved everything, but then the doll user got involved, and he realized, I can't leave this to anyone else. Even if she has to see me like this, I'll protect my sister with my own hands, even if she ends up resenting me for the rest of our lives. And because they're connected by the rodents, Kimie understands all this. Or she gets the general idea, I guess. So Kimie is like, I understood that there was like a shadow lurking behind Hikaru Gero, and I had a vague feeling I was being made to dance to someone's tune. But even so, and she says out loud, I want to be there for Hikaru Gero. I want to be someone who can walk by his side. And as she says that, she looks down at her hammies, who are kind of desperately trying to keep all the mice from entirely overwhelming her. And she says, please, lend me your true strength. And the hamsters stop going pip, and they instead go pip, which is a fiercer pip, in case you couldn't tell.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Nick, this was a very dorky chapter.
There was nothing silly about this whatsoever. I refuse to hear any of that.
That's fair. I imagine this is a pretty satisfying chapter for those who are fans of Arashiyama. I unfortunately am not a member of your club, so this is a very silly, dorky chapter where a woman is being crushed to death by mice or something. I'm not entirely clear, and there is mice-to-mice communication, or mice-to-hamster communication, I should say, so some very silly things. I do think Behemouse is a very cool visual and a pretty good pun, though. So, yeah, good stuff there.
That's great, yeah. It's okay, though, Quinn. Only good female character representation in our next series. New Exorcist, chapter 130, In the Heart. We're at the pool right now, but not for fun. What a great opening line. We get a recap about the resort bosses that are holding down all of the cards that you need in order to get to the Battle City blimp. And in this particular instance, they're looking for the resort boss of the pool, who has special earrings. That's their identifying factor. Anyway,
I hate this first page because it is so much information that I am positive we do not need. This is not going to be relevant. We are not going to be like dealing with each of the 5 masters of like, we are going to, at some point, maybe 2 chapters from now, Soranaki's just going to show up and we're just going to fight him. All of this is pointless. Why are we spending our time on it?
Look, Quinn, New Exorcist always sticks to what it says it's going to do, all right? It's
And
when they said that Gakuro was going to make his decision, he made that decision, didn't he?
No. But we are still sitting here patiently waiting the day that one vice admiral comes back to finally give Gakuro the training he earned.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, so they're not hanging out at this pool for fun, which is why here's Machida's boobs. Here's just a whole bunch of stuff involving her boobs. And her top gets drawn off somehow. I don't know how. So then she can't put her top on. Gakuro's got to put it on for her because, as we all know, in the world of New Exorcist, if a girl's bikini top falls off, she can't put it back on. A guy has to do it for her. That's the only way to cover back up. But as he's doing this, Gakuro thinks about the thing that Natsuki told him, which is that he needs to figure out his own feelings. And so he decides to sit down with her and is like, can you tell me what it is that you like about me? And Machida's like, I mean, that'd be kind of embarrassing, but yeah, okay. And she says something that is kind of like understandable, which is, I feel like you and I are pretty similar because we're both really bad at putting ourselves out there in our relationships with other people. And then I see you fighting to protect other people and doing your best. And so because of that, I think you're amazing. As in, her empathizing with that quality of his makes her admire him. It's a sensible enough reason, I guess. However, she said she liked him in middle school. So what did she like about him then? I loved how you cared so much about your sister that she broke your arm and you didn't stop her from leaving.
I really admired how much you were into Pokemon back then. I thought that was pretty quirky.
So Machi's like, why would you ask me something like that? And Gakuro just tells her, it's like, oh, because Natsuki told me to, basically. And she's like, oh, I see. Okay. So you don't know what you feel? And Gakuro's like, well, I thought I did. You know, when someone tells me she likes me, it makes me happy, and I want to handle it responsibly. But according to the princess, it shouldn't be like that. She said it's important that I feel deep down. I don't know what that is. And so Machida is like, okay. And she puts her hand to his chest over his heart. And she says, what do you think about me touching you like this? Do you think, ew, yuck? No. Then does it make you happy? I guess. Like, she's like prodding around him too. Like, it looks like she's pinching his pec when she's doing it.
It's again like a weirdly sensual moment for this series that is like never gonna do anything but just be provocative. Like I'm never under the impression these characters are ever going to do anything, but it's always very funny how much these girls will like throw themselves at Gakuro, and his response to every one of them is like, I really need to think about how I feel about you.
How I feel about Gakuro with all of his love interests in this series is how I feel about every Yuri ship in Shonen Jump until Chainsaw Man came along. Like, you're never going to actually have a character be a lesbian. And then Chainsaw Man was like, I'll have this girl be 4 lesbians. And I was like, all right, fair enough.
you got me.
And so since then, it's like, all right, I'm open to the idea of it now. But not with New Sexes. It's like, it's all tease, no payoff in any front of this.
Yeah.
We're just going to introduce more and more love interest until the end of time.
There's always more girls who can join this group, Nick. And Gakuro can have a situation where one of them expresses their feelings towards him, and then he can sit there and say, but how do I feel about this? I'll get back to you. And this is the thing, Nick. He never does. He never has to get back to them about it.
I'm sorry, something else happened, and then like we just forgot about that plot point. Sorry.
They'll just all wait in perpetuity forever. They never need an answer to their questions. They are that satisfied in their relationship. They're like, get to me when you get to me, guy.
There's a moment when he confesses that he feels a bit happy when she's like, touching him in the chest. She says perv, and then she says, oh, your heart just skipped a beat, which made me go, oh no. Please don't go down this path.
What's that supposed to tell you? Tells me you're a dirty little boy who likes being demeaned. And he's like, oh, I thought this is taking a turn I don't like. I have to go find the boss of the haunted house over there. Goodbye.
She stands up from her seat on the other side of the table, and as Gakuro's like, what is this supposed to tell you? And she says, it tells me everything. Does being with someone warm your heart? Does having her touch you make your heart race? Isn't that what it means to have feelings for someone? And Gakuro says, are little things like that enough? And she says, little things? Nothing besides those things is important. Yeah, Gakuro, the physiological reactions you have to someone saying that they like you and touching you have nothing to do whether or not you like them.
I hate Gakuro so much. This boy, he has had like 7 women like absolutely come on to him. And like a couple of them have like kissed him, everything but like straight up being like, please, let's go out as a couple. Has been basically uttered to him, and he still approaches every woman with like the same fucking deer in headlights look of like, what am I supposed to be doing? Oh, I can't believe.
Then Machida takes Gakuro's hand and says, can you tell what my heart is doing? And puts Gakuro's hand fully on her boob. Just a full... Look, guys, it is true. Yes, a woman's heart is under there. However, this is like the least optimal way to tell what the heart is doing.
I don't think I can hear your heart underneath all of this boob, actually.
You could go in between, you could go under, you could go over. There's
side.
So many better ways to feel the heart. So many ways.
You could do it from the back if you really wanted.
You could go in through the pulse point in the neck. Give him your wrist. Like, come on. Like, Jesus Christ. This is such an inefficient way of accomplishing this. Don't pretend you're not doing what you're doing. Fuck you. So she demands that Gakuro listen, and then as he's continuing to listen through his grope on her titty, she says, you've got a lot on your shoulders right now, and I can tell you can tell that I've got a lot on mine, and you're taking good care of all of us, so I don't think fortifying your heart with a sense of responsibility is a bad thing. At the very least, being treasured because of that would make me happy. And that causes Gakuro's perv powers to go and unlock a new thing.
Nick,
and there's a weird thing in a shell that gets unlocked.
It's been months since Gakuro has unlocked a new power. I was starting to get like the shakes. It's like, Nick, he hasn't gotten stronger at all recently. What's going to happen?
Not since his was an infant until 5 minutes ago daughter kissed him has he gotten this kind of perv power up. So he sees the thing unlocking and is like, oh, that's what my heart feels. Is that my heart? It's covered by a thick shell. Why?
Almost like it's dense. Like it's a big, dense idiot. Like it's a big, dense idiot who doesn't understand anything that's going on.
And the intricate lock around the heart says, I'm impressed you made it this far. And then he looks at it and is like, what was that? As the shell appears on the table in front of him. And Gakuro goes, without realizing that Machida, who I will remind you, whose titty he was grabbing until 5 seconds ago is suddenly gone, doesn't realize she's gone.
He's like, hey, where'd that sweet egg come from?
Then all of a sudden, he senses danger as someone shouts, Gakuro, run! Probably Machida. And he transforms into his Bankai-looking form just in time for some dude to attack him. He deflects the blade. It's some guy who's shown up around Rice a couple of times, I guess. He was at the Mock Sports Festival. I think he was one of the runner dudes. I don't fucking know. And he's super strong now.
I vaguely recall this dude being one of the level 4s we were introduced to early on. Like, I feel like he was, like, the one that they were like, oh, look, some of the level 4s have connections with the Exorcist Bureau or something like that. I don't know his name. He seems like a douche, so like a Chadwick.
Yeah, so Chad Togotsu, which is his name, he says it the next page.
Damn.
Yeah, he's introduced himself as the boss of the Water Star facility because he's got earrings, which you don't see in all the panels that his.
It looks like his hair. It looks like his stupid hair.
Like he's got in the poster it says that he should have them on 2 earrings, but when he shows up he's only got them on 1. That way it can be cleverly hidden around word bubbles and stuff so that he doesn't have to have the earrings drawn in every panel that he shows up in because they're too intricate. You designed them to be too complicated. Why would you do this on a character whose face you have to draw? Jesus. So Togotsu says that if you want your girl back, participate in the event because there's some other person there who's just got Machida, who's just
some
limp
dude
over his shoulder.
Just picked her up, just full like, I'm just gonna be a bad guy. He's smoking. Like he doesn't. This is so unimpressive for him.
It's like we didn't see her get knocked out. We didn't see her get attacked. She just is unconscious and is a damsel.
She fainted. Who knows? Okay. Yeah.
Someone said a bad word too loudly, and she went, ah. So Gotsu says that he's got a message from Soranaki. Events exist to get audiences fired up, but for you and yours, that ain't true. As far as you're concerned, they're death games. If you screw up, your companions die. And now Gakura goes, give her back! And he gets all dark and vicious, and Togotsu goes like, what the fuck? What just happened to him? Did he do something right before this? Oh, that shell behind him on the table is starting to crack. Okay.
He's so strong now, Nick.
Never change, New Exorcist, you awful series.
I did appreciate, we had to give a special call out to Molderman in our Discord who actually put together a why are people mad about New Exorcist this week generator, which basically just takes the term like, because Gakuro did blank and blank is blank. It's like one of the girls and then some other thing. And I was using it and I didn't know how it worked at first. And I was like, not all of these are real, right? But some of these are real. Some of these are valid reasons why people have complained about it. Because they'll just be shit like, because Gakuro got a new power-up without doing anything, and also Kathy is in love with him, or some stupid shit. And I was like, I don't even know which one Kathy is, but she probably is in love. Statistically, she is in love with Gakuro in this universe.
She is female, yes.
Yeah.
Even characters who aren't in love with Gakuro, one of the characters who's not in love with Gakuro but is female, like, there's a better chance that they kiss him than if they're in love with Gakuro. Like, Jesus.
Yeah.
It's happened twice, I think. Ugh.
No idea.
All right, we're going to finish up because there is no One Piece this week.
Yes.
With Akane-banashi, story 191, Stain. And we're starting to go out of sync, it feels like, so it's probably a good thing that we're winding down. Yes, so Shomei tells the tale of his lineage, and he says that, over 200 years, all the sons in my family have been Rakugoka, each one an Okanban who defines the era he lives in, and I am the heir to that legacy. My father was the previous Shomei Tsubakiya, and we get a little snippet and a flashback of the previous Shomei performing, and this tale that he is performing is Testicle Doctor, a doctor who gives lofty speeches while flashing his testicles, causing his patients to be cured with the power of laughter.
How immature and shameful of a topic. This is so juvenile, so crude, so unnecessary. What's the next performance? The man who farts when he talks. I am getting a front row seat. I'm already getting my t-shirt. I cannot wait. This is going to be awesome. I've been waiting for this show forever.
Oh god. So, but in Shomei's explanation, he says, like, the crowd loved him. He would tell all these nonsensical stories. He was the heretical Rakugoka. Shomei Tsubakiya the Eighth, the Rakugoka known as the Stain of Tsubakiya. And Akane is like, why was this Stain? Why was he a Stain? And Shomei explains, it was an era in which the true Edo style was held to be witty and chic. It was not supposed to be laugh out loud funny. So you're supposed to have this, if you get it attitude. And he went against the grain because he insisted that the point of Rakugo was to please the masses. And Akane just responds to that by saying, like, he was really cool, wasn't he? And Shomei smiles fondly, but he says he was just a contrarian. And he says the god of death he's going to teach them is the product of that contrarian. The only person who was enough of a lunatic to want to learn it, aside from me, was Master Shigema. And he says, in my youthful naivete, I was mystified. This man had stood alongside Miroku at Isho. He was a hero of mainstream Rakugo, and he was more popular and influential than my father. And yet, he came to him. And we see a bit of the conversation between them. And Shomei, as a kid, just asked Shigma, like, why? Like, why do you want to do that? And Shigma says, well, I'm looking for the answer to that question myself. Probably because I'm being tested as to how one faces the concept of death. And Shomei, Ani-san, bears some resemblance to my master. Nah, it's not it. Anyway, you don't get it. Look, God of Death came from the West. It's fundamentally different from Japanese horror stories, which is what makes your old man's God of Death so good. And in the present, Shomei says, his death is very dry. That's what makes it good. So Shomei's only understanding of what Shigma had said about being tested was like, I think that he was given some kind of task by the previous Master Shigma. And I don't know the details of it because I didn't have much experience with him. But Akane is distracted while like Rokuro and Shomei are talking about this because of what had been said about the origins of the story, how it's different from Japanese horror stories, how death is very dry in this interpretation. And as she thinks about that, she thinks, does that mean the god of death? And she just sees a pair of eyes in her mind opening in this void. They are not very nice looking eyes. They're creepy eyes. And she starts up and just stands up. And Shomei understands perfectly, like, you met eyes then. When you gaze long into an abyss, the abyss gazes also into you. It would seem that you caught sight of the god of death. And then we cut away from there. So this is Miroku, I want to say. The square-headed, square-bearded guy, I think. That is
I'm not
here.
sure of his name. The
It
Rakugo
is.
Federation chairman.
Miroku Kashiwaya, yes. So he is talking with someone. So he's talking with someone who's like, oh yeah, there was all this animosity towards Arakawa, and then he goes and gives the title to the Arakawa girl, and he's going around training Fukuoka and stuff like that. And sometimes hatred is just a cover to hide one's affections, and everything. And so he's just kind of reporting all this to Miroku, who says, I thought you actually had something important to talk to me about. Instead, you're like sloshed to the gills. And we are introduced to the Okanban Ryun Kinpute. And Ryun says, you'll have to forgive me. I'm something of a raconteur. I can't help but have an interest in the outlandish. And Miroku's like, all right, just sighs at him. And he says, you already know what I want to talk about. Someone to act as a liaison between the Federation and Arakawa, since the spot is currently empty, which would have apparently been Shigema. But, he's not doing well right now. Ryun says, we've got 3 expensive promotions for the 100-year shindig coming up, and we can't afford to be putting on this toothless front. So Miroku says, do you have a recommendation? And Ryun says, as a matter of fact, I've brought the person I want you to meet. Aren't I just the best? And he claps his hands and calls out, come on in. And oh dear.
This was a page turn.
There are 2. Yeah. Howdy doody. I can't remember his name because there's so many Zen names in this.
Is it
this
Zen
series
Show?
that I get them mixed up. Is it Zen Show? It might be.
Is that
It is.
Okay.
Zen Show Arakawa pokes his head through the door, and there's this immediate awkward moment because like he meant to like reveal himself on the side opposite the one that Miroku was sitting on, so he could like be looking at him. And instead he's like right by his head, and he's like, okay, be at ease. I am a friend and ally to all Rokugoka. We need to pump up the excitement both for the Rakugo Federation and the upcoming Ishokai. Oh,
Interesting.
Dear, I have to have more of this guy.
It makes sense. We have to keep doing some stuff with this guy until inevitably, Nick, we have to feel bad for him at some point. He'll be like a hero somewhere down the line, and we're going to feel bad for everything bad we said about Zensho. This is a good chapter. We get to see Daddy's daddy, which I appreciate. More Shomei to enjoy. It's a whole family of hotties. It's real great, except for the first couple. They were kind of dorky, but after that, they start
with the samurai cut.
Once the guy with the monocle shows up, well, like it's a step backwards from him. I don't know. Hitler dude doesn't look as great, but the monocle guy, that's
concerning. Yeah,
that's where it really like we start getting some fine wine there. Beyond that, it's just
even with those sideburns.
Because of those sideburns, honestly. Look,
Okay.
Look, I don't like to say this out loud, but the hottest CM Punk ever looked was when he had those stupid Wolverine sideburns. I was like, damn, he's actually kind of attractive right now. I don't know what to tell you. Maybe I just watched like X-Men at too young of an age, and like it really formed deep down. I just didn't realize it until later. But yeah, the stupid sideburns actually make it better.
Oh boy. Yeah, I'm not super intrigued by this whole Rakugo politics thing that we end the chapter on, but the beginning is very intriguing to me. And we have that tease that Akane's already got a glimpse of what she thinks that her god of death is going to be. I like that we're continuing to not lose sight of the fact that a lot of the tension that Akane is dealing with right now has to do with Shigema. So the fact that he ties into the lesson that Shomei learned for God of Death is good. And even though we've already left this flashback, it feels like something that we're going to be stepping back to again fairly soon.
Yes. I think there's going to be some fun twists that this will add to the Ishokai. Who knows? Maybe this is where Akane has to get the weird rule that she sometimes has to work under, where somebody's like, you can't use the letter E at any point in your performance. She's like, God damn it, that's a tough one. But I am still excited to see it. I think everything that's going on is good, and we'll just have to see how this actually develops, where we're going to go from here.
Yeah.
All right, Nick, that's going to do it for Weekly Manga Recap.
We're done.
No One Piece. We're out of here.
No One Piece.
Yeah.
Fuck. What was your favorite chapter this week, Quinn?
Yeah, favorite chapter in MVP. I think my favorite chapter this week is going to be Blue Box. I really, really like that conversation between Taiki and Hino, where Taiki just kind of explains, like, yeah, I think this isn't nostalgic for us because we're very different people. Like, we've changed. Like, we're different now. And he doesn't use it in, like, a negative sense or anything like that. He's really used it to try to, like, set up his thought process of, like, look, I would like to try to be best friends with you. Like, I know we've changed, but I would like to work to get to that point. And I like that a lot. It's a very emotionally mature and responsible and honorable, like just like a very decent thing for him to do. You wouldn't expect him. He has no reason to. He has like a girlfriend. He's, probably going on to nationals. Like he's really at the top of his game. He doesn't have to do this. And I appreciate that he is trying to help out Hina as much as they can in that situation.
I'll keep that in mind if I ever think to myself, like, yeah, I don't have to keep on being friends with Quinn. Like, I've got a great wife, I've got a great career and stuff like that. I don't need to keep on being friends.
You don't understand. This is my greatest fear. You put words to it. I'm like, all my friends are successful. They don't need me. I'm just a burden.
Yeah. Anyway.
No, it's fine. I'll just replay this conversation in my bed every night before I go to bed for the next 20 years.
I don't know. I kind of like view that like sentiment not in a bad way, but like a little bit more selfishly. As in, like, it's not that he's doing it for Hina's sake. I think that he's doing it because he just is like, this is just an important thing to me. And he just wants to, keep it in his life.
I don't necessarily think Hina will 100% reciprocate it. Because I think there's always going to be a part of her that's
doesn't seem like she's going to yet.
Yeah, I was like, I think there's a part of her right now that's just like, I still have these feelings. Like, I can't just be your friend at this point. But I like where his head's at, where he's like, let's try to do something here. It's like just a very adult way of handling that probably won't work, but like he's at least gonna give it a try, it sounds like, or wants to.
The note that she ends the chapter on, because the sentiments kind of are overlapping with each other. Because
Yes.
Taiki makes the grand declaration of, I want to work up to being best friends with you again. Whereas Hina's is, that's not how I feel. This change and everything I felt is what makes me me.
Yes.
And so the fact that that is how it is like, Taiki is even kind of like his sentiment is almost pushed a little bit out of the frame when
Yeah.
we see her. Hina takes the center frame and she's like, no, things can't be that way anymore because of this. And that makes it much more interesting to me. Not the fact that it's like, oh, there's this very heartwarming sentiment of like, oh, they're going to be best friends again. It's like, no, he's like, I want to be best friends. And she's like, I still want to be your girlfriend. Like
Yeah.
that doesn't work for me. So, yeah, it makes it more interesting. And it kind of, in a sense, makes me feel more optimistic for that stance that she has than she was when she was just kind of like realizing she still had feelings for him. The fact that she has this realization of the reality of the situation, and she still is like, yeah, but I still want us to be into each other romantically. My favorite series this week, I'm gonna go with Ichi the Witch. I think that with the short list of chapters and the fact that some of them were not so good, I didn't have a whole lot to choose between. And there was definitely no moment this week that made me go, ah, so much as the giant spider octopus attacking the pregnant woman. So it's the most memorable to me. And for that reason, I'm going to pick it.
Yeah. For that same like logic, I don't really have an MVP this week, but I guess I will give it to Kizashi for dealing such a savage blow. Um, so yeah, I guess that's my character of the week.
Mine's going to be Himari. I know how embarrassing this chapter is for like her, but it's because she is a 16-year-old girl, and, and it's like all 16-year-olds do something like this at some point. And like I said, I really like the moment where she actually lays out like why she fell in love with Iamori. It was nice to have that, and it's a very nice sentimental speech that she has, and I do look forward to her trying to push the plot forward.
Yes. The audience, by the way, picked Ichi the Witch as their chapter of the week, and it looks like a tie for character of the week between Taiki from Blue Box and Pew from Ichi the Witch. For the sake of things, I will clarify. Pew is Kizashi. They are the same thing. So
Yeah, that's true.
We're, I am the voice of the people this week, then. Except for the Ichi. Well, we split the voice of the people this week.
Correct.
Yeah.
We need to. How many votes were there for Machida? Anyone vote for her? For all the boob moments?
Hold
Come
on, where's I need to find where Molderman is on this. No, I forgot he's an Arashiyama stan, so yeah, he had to vote for her. But that probably would have been our chance, unless Kaneko fan. No, it appears nobody voted for her. That's a shame.
Oh, come on, guys! She gave you 2 boob moments. What more do you want, guys? Come on.
That's crazy.
All right, everybody. We will have more quantifiably probably manga next week to talk about. Until then, we are Weekly Manga Recap. Quinn and Nick. We are on social media on BlueSky, Royalty, and Nick Have Time, and also Weekly Manga Recap on BlueSky. WMR Votes also on there, run by Ninja X3i. For all of the MVP and favorite series voting. Just follow along with that and get your votes in so that we have an audience winner on those each week. We have a Discord server, which will be linked wherever this gets posted to, which it's on iTunes, it's on Spotify. weeklymangarecap.podbean.com is where we host the show, and then there's the podcast feeds like those. YouTube version, video, Weekly Manga Recap, youtube.com/Weekly Manga Recap, which has an opening sequence by Milo Jack Stillitz and Bree Cheddar, and occasionally artwork by Steve Mann, who does title cards and does lots of other artwork if you just search for Steve Mann art. And yeah, Discord has conversations about the chapters as they go up each week on the series that we are covering as a recommendation, which in this case, we are currently reading through Yu-Gi-Oh! R,
Yes.
the side series based on the original series run. And yeah, that's gonna about do it. We also have a Patreon, patreon.com/weekly manga recap if you want more weekly manga recap content and to also help financially support the show.
Yes. We also are doing, I should say we've been doing, but we do MTG Commander games in our Discord regularly now. Usually every Sunday, a couple of us will get together and do MTG Commander games through a app called Untapped. And it's very fun. People should join in if they're ever interested.
Neat.
Yeah. Nick, before we leave, can I just note my intense disappointment at myself for something? The last series...
Oh, no.
Yeah, the last series we talked about was Akane-banashi, and the chapter title was Stained.
Correct.
And I wanted to make a Stained joke so bad, but in the moment, could not think of a single Stained song. And it took me too long to Google search them. By then, the moment had already passed. So I just needed to be very clear. I did attempt to do a Stained reference. It's been a while. Would have been the immediate one I should have used, but that joke's so like ingrained in my head. I forget who actually does it. I just say it instinctually anytime anyone says it's been a while.
Gotcha. Well, thank you for abstaining then.
Yeah. Just I needed to, present my shame in case anyone was listening. They were like, why didn't Quinn make a Stain joke there? Which I assume people were doing.
Constantly asking. Yeah, constantly. Yeah.
When's Quinn going to do another Stain joke? They're always asking. All right, bye, everybody.